Is a note. I've been mayor of the city of New Orleans almost a year now. And less than a week after taking office, we were faced with, again, a flood. Not talking August in 2017, but really talking May of 2018. And so I made it a very much priority as it relates to infrastructure. You know that the Sewage and Water Board is, in fact, a state entity and asset, but it is governed and managed, of course. And me, as mayor of the city, I'm president of the Sewage and Water Board. I have participated in and led that Sewage and Water Board more than mayors that I've seen in a mighty long time. Every single meeting I have governed, and I intend to continue to do that because it's just that important. I've made sure that we've taken every single assessment that was conducted when rainwater was there, even prior to the previous administration. Well, you came in under the previous administration during that August 17 flood. But when I got up and when I showed up, $85 million were spent. That was the reserve that we had, all gone. No cash flow. I have $40 million that are due right now to construction workers that have rendered their service that I cannot pay. I have boil water advisories that can come at any given time. I have 111-year-old pipes that can burst again at any given time. We have had an extensive amount of federal dollars that are on the table. Make no mistake about it. We're looking good on the capital side, but there's in no way that I could spend down or touch those dollars without having cash flow. You know how this works. It's cost reimbursement. I do see a light at the end of the tunnel, but that light is one that is worked out in a collaborative manner. We need just a little bit more of what's generated in the city of New Orleans, and as it relates to this self-assessment, which is paid by visitors that visit the city of New Orleans. Last year, we saw 18 million visitors. Now, when you do the math, based on the population that Mr. Perry just indicated, that's 48 visitors per one resident in the city. So just imagine 48 people living in your house, flushing your toilet, taking showers, on your roads, on your streets. This is what we're faced with in the city. I have been able to, though, in a very short time, work with the state, work with the federal government, because you know there were billions at jeopardy, and really they still are. But I've been able to restructure government to move these dollars. This is associated with the joint infrastructure project with the Sewage and Water Board and the Department of Public Works. So we're making movement there. And I see the light because there are dollars there, but I need some upfront and reoccurring so that we can activate those dollars that are made available to us at the federal level. And if we do not, shame on us, because it's not a matter of if, it's when. And I'm faced with this every time you get a rain, which we're expected to get some on Thursday, and this is the beginning of Jazz Fest, which we know, we get it. But how we are now managing water that comes to the city of New Orleans, it's coming into our vehicles, it's coming into our cars with an ordinary rain event. So I'm asking for just a little bit more of this self-generated. I sat on the New Orleans Tourism and Marketing Committee when this was established in 2014. I saw this bucket of money grow every single year and an upward of $19 million. I saw with the budgets of NOTMC, for example, to where we were not even spending the entire allocation that was given to NOTMC, as well as New Orleans and Company. So putting a cap on this will allow for a small portion that could go towards reoccurring revenue for infrastructure so that we can address the issues associated with the Sewage and Water Board, but also not in isolation, because the Department of Public Works, again with the city, has dollars that I'm also pushing out of the door. But it has to work together. We've just pushed out $145 million in green infrastructure projects. That's going on right now. So this isn't just about sewage and water board. I'm looking at this holistically. That's how we're going to solve this problem in the city. The can has been kicked and kicked and kicked. And I said that, hey, I am the woman bending over to pick up that can and addressing whatever existing conditions there are. Went even further with an assessment to look at the drinking water. And after we did that, we got dinged by the state because our water quality was unacceptable. We learned from that study that the same water that was cooling turbines is the same water that comes out of our faucets when we turn on that faucet. So we're at a place where we either move forward or we do not. You heard from Rainwater on yesterday how we do have to get off of power generation of these turbines. And you know what else? 30 million of that reserve was spent to fix one turbine that I'm saying now that I don't need, because we don't. We're spending 4 times the amount producing our own power than if we were to partner with Entergy. This is real, and you can't make it up. And I know that this is not my doing, but I'm owning it. 20% control, 100% culpability. Building in the accountability measures, absolutely. I took really from you all, a model that you all demonstrated when we were faced post-Katrina with fighting for offshore royalties that we did not see coming from the federal government. But what we did as a state, we rallied and we passed a bill that will allow us to go to the taxpayers to therefore create a coastal restoration fund. The women of the storm, and I was one of them, it gave us what we needed to go to Congress and to demonstrate that while we're fighting for offshore royalties for the state of Louisiana, we're not saying that you're going to give it to corrupt Louisiana. We're going to protect those dollars, make sure it goes to coastal restoration. And I took that just from you by creating that maintenance and infrastructure fund so that I can show you in good faith. I'm not advocating for the corrupt sewage and water board or corrupt New Orleans. I am advocating for dollars that will go into an infrastructure fund that you and I can assure goes towards what it is intended to do. But we're at a crossroads here. Hurricane season, June 1. That's a fact. We brought our water hammer online with another one under works with this federal money. Soon as we activated the first water hammer, pipes started bursting throughout the city because now our pipes cannot handle the additional pressure. I'm not in this by myself. I can't be. The state of Louisiana is the fabric of the city of New Orleans. You know just like I. But if we have another event and we're underwater, then there will be no more Super Bowls. There will be no more Sugar Bowls. There will be no more Essence Festivals, Bayou Classics. That's a fact. But we have revenue that's already being generated that we can tap into just a little to win. We can move forward with the renovations of the Superdome. No one's touching that. We can move forward with the renovations of the convention center. We can do it all. We can make this a win, win, win. But if we can't flush toilets in New Orleans, if we couldn't fix that drain, 111-year-old, that we were able to, when I came out of my office, I said, why is this water around the Superdome? They said, Mayor, the pipe just burst at Loyola and Poydras. We were able to repair that 111-year-old pipe in real time. Thank God, because if we were not, the whole Poydras corridor from Claiborne to the river would have been without water for 2 weeks. And with my engineer on the ground with me saying, Mayor, This is costing us about 60 grand. But if that one breaks, that's about 500,000. That is the existing conditions that we're living in right now in the city of New Orleans that has a bottom line associated with our businesses, with our restaurants. They're the first ones that have to respond to a boil water advisory. And one of the last ones was right before one of our playoff games. Had a meeting with the governor that Monday. I said, Governor, I didn't do it, man. It happened all on its own. But at any given time, it can happen. So I thank you so much for hearing me out. I really do. I'm passionate about this because it's just that serious. You can't make it up. And if I share more with you, man, we'll be laughing and crying at the same time because you cannot make it up. But another thing that I cannot make up are the existing conditions in the city of New Orleans that require action. And it requires a real partnership. And it requires us to tap into revenue that's currently being generated so that we can fill a gap. And it will not solve the entire problem here. And I know that. That's why it will allow us to tap into the billions that we do have at our disposal. They're there. It will allow for that. It will allow for me to go to the public and advocate for that stormwater management fee. I know we'll have to do it. And the people, Representative Ivey, I heard you yesterday. But the citizens of New Orleans, sir, in early 90, were placed under sewer consent decree. Sewage and Water Board. With that, residents had to double their sanitation fees. In 2013, the New Orleans City Council passed an increase onto residents, which was okay. But that increase happened in 2014, in 2015, in 2016, on to 2020. So the people of the city are doing their part. But they're also providing the services to our 18 million visitors that cannot solely be on the backs of 400,000 people. It doesn't make sense. So we can do better. And I need your support on this so that we can get to a deal that is a win-win-win. Currently, the deal being thrown around, absolutely not. But let me be quiet because I get all riled up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Y'all good for my soul.
Appreciate your passion.